Hello friends, welcome back to the series on common grammatical errors in English. This course is being presented by me, Taran. In today's lesson, we are going to discuss the common errors in the usage of adverbs. Now, what is an adverb? Now, an adverb is a word which modifies an adjective, verb, or another adverb. It can express manner, time, place, or degree. So, a few examples would be here, when, recently, degree. Contrary to common notion, adverbs do not just modify verbs, they can also modify adjectives and other adverbs. So, let's begin. The first rule that we are going to discuss today, it states that to modify a verb, an adjective or another adverb, we use an adverb. So, it simply gives the definition of an adverb. Now, note that adverbs often end with ly, but some of them, such as fast, look exactly the same as their adjective counterparts. There are some words which can be used as adjectives as well as adverbs. Now, if you say careful person, it becomes an adjective. If you say he was careful in doing this, it becomes an adverb. Now, let's look at the examples. She writes very careful. Now, this is not how you use an adverb. Generally, an adverb ends in ly. So she writes very carefully. This doesn't sound correct, does it? A few more examples here. We watch movies occasionally. You don't say we watch movies occasional. The kids are in bed. Finally, I can get some work done. Now, finally, not final. After the trip, I was totally exhausted. You won't say I was total exhausted. He runs really fast. Now runs is the verb and fast becomes the adverb. Now the next rule states that to means more than required and it is used with an unpleasant adjective. So we cannot use too glad, too happy, too pleasant, or too healthy. What we say is, I'm too glad to meet you. This is not what we use. You might hear people use this. What you can do is you can correct them. Instead of to, you say very. I am very glad to meet you. So very is used with positive adjectives. A few more examples are, I am too tired to go to the party. I'm so tired that I cannot go to the party. So it becomes a negative adjective, sorry, adverb. Therefore we put to. It's almost too good to be true. It's so good, it sounds so good that it cannot be true. Now it's a negative, therefore we use to. You are walking too slowly. If you if it's a positive sentence, it becomes you are walking really fast or very fast. Too slowly is correct. The next rule states that a sentence which is based on to format, we cannot replace to with so that. If we replace to with so that, to also must be replaced with cannot. I know this sounds confusing, so let's look at the examples. This will give you a better idea. He is too weak so that he cannot walk. Now, we don't use to and so that together. We instead use to and to together. He is too weak to walk. Now, when we modify this sentence, it becomes he is so weak that he cannot walk. So, to has been replaced by so, and to has been replaced by cannot. Some more examples. The news is too good to be true. Similarly, the news is so good that it cannot be true. The tea was too hot to drink. When we modify it, the tea was so hot that it could not be drunk, or I could not drink it. It means the same. The thief ran too fast for the police to catch. When we modify this, the thief ran so fast that the police could not catch him. Now, um, this is something most people do not know. In some places, you should use much too, and in some places, you should use too much. But we generally ignore the difference. In all the sentences, we use too much, which is not quite correct. Much too is generally followed by an unpleasant adjective, whereas too much is followed by a noun. So the form becomes much too plus adjective and too much plus noun. Let's look at the examples. His failure is too much painful for me. Now, painful is an adjective, not a noun. So what we say is, his failure is much too painful for me. Now, some more examples to give you an idea. This is too much heavy for you. Doesn't sound correct. This is much too heavy for you. Notice that there's an adjective here. Now, when we say we bought much too milk, milk is a noun, so we say we bought too much milk. Too much noun, much too adjective. That too negative one. Now the next rule is that quite and all are not used together. When you say he's quite all right, you must have heard this in American shows or you can say news or anything, movies. This is not the correct usage. In British English, you either say he is quite right or he's all right. Now, the next rule, what it states is that a and plus fairly plus adjective plus noun should be used, or rather, plus a and plus adjective should be used. Also, notice that we cannot use a pleasant adjective with rather and unpleasant adjective with fairly. Now, this defines the form of the sentence. Notice that the article always comes before fairly and always after rather, and then the order is the same. It was a rather good book will not be correct because, firstly, rather cannot be used with a positive adjective, good. Also, the article is coming before rather. So, either way, it is incorrect. The correct sentence would be it was a fairly good book. Now, let's take up some more examples to get an idea about the difference. The weather is rather fine. Now, positive adjective, you don't use rather. The weather is fairly fine. There's no article required here, so we haven't used an article. John is fairly wise. Now, again, a positive adjective, so fairly. Ram is rather hopeless. Now, this is a negative adjective, therefore, rather. Some more examples. He can speak English fairly well. Fairly and well. How was the film? Fairly good. Now, what does fairly good means? It was quite good. Or if when you say it was rather good. You can also say it was rather good. Then the meaning of the sentence changes. It means you were not quite expecting it to be that good, but it turned out to be good. Now, in this context, it means that you didn't expect the movie to be good. So it becomes negative. So it was rather good. But since you found the movie good, use fairly. Now, let's take up another example. He helped her out of rather an uncomfortable situation. Or you can also say he helped her out of a rather uncomfortable situation. In this case, both are correct. But in general, the article comes after rather. This is the more common form of the sentence. That's all for today. If you like this course, please rate and review it. Your feedback is really valuable to us. It will help me bring more engaging courses for you. If you have any doubts, leave them in the comment section. If you want to make a voluntary contribution or you want to buy me a coffee, please click on contribute. Thank you and bye bye until next time. Hello friends, welcome back to this series on common grammatical errors in English. The presenter of this lesson is Taran. Once again, today we will discuss the common errors in the usage of adverbs. So before we get to that, what are adverbs? Let's revise. An adverb is a word which modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb, and it expresses time, manner, place, or degree. Now, common adverbs are gently, here, now, and so on. Let's begin with the first rule. Enough, when used as an adverb, is preceded by a positive degree adjective or adverb. Now let's recall what are the degrees of comparison of adjectives: positive, comparative, and superlative. Now positive is the simplest form, right? So look at the example. He was kinder enough to pardon you. Now this is not correct. Kinder enough is comparative degree. So we make it he was kind enough to pardon you, right? Some more examples. I could never stay longer enough on the shore. I could never stay long enough on the shore. This one is correct. Means I wanted to stay for some more time, but I could not. Now the next sentence is he was not older enough to be a soldier. Now enough is not used with the comparative degree, it's used with the positive degree. Therefore we say he was not old enough to be a soldier. Means he had not attained the age which is required to be a soldier. Now the next rule is that negatives cancel each other. Therefore we never use two negatives together unless we want to make an affirmation. Now this kind of convention is used in American slang. So don't get confused. In British convention, we never use two negatives together. So let's look at the examples to give you a better idea. I have not got none. What the person here means to say is that I haven't got anything. So you don't say I haven't got none. You would say I haven't got any. Let's look at a few more examples. There is no way you can do nothing about this. A lot of you must watch TV shows, mainly American TV shows, and you must have heard two negatives together. However, what the person wants to say is There is no way you can do anything about this. Since we follow the British convention, we never use two negatives together. Similarly, Louis won't talk to nobody until his lawyer arrives. This one is incorrect. Louis won't talk to anybody until his lawyer arrives. Or Louis won't talk to anyone until his lawyer arrives. Now the next rule states that at present means at the present time or at the moment. However, presently means shortly, especially when it is used in the future tense or with the future tense. Now these should not be confused. Now what we do often is that we use these two interchangeably, which should not be the case. Nothing more can be done presently. Now what the person means to say is nothing more can be done at the moment. So the correct usage would be nothing more can be done at the moment or at present. Nothing more can be done at present. Now, if we say he will come back at present. Now, since he will is the future indefinite tense, we can't use at present. Instead, we say he will come back presently. Here, presently means shortly. Now, that means he'll shortly be here. Now, the next rule states that hard means diligently or strenuously, and hardly means scarcely at all. These two adverbial forms of hard must not be confused. So basically, these two mean entirely opposite of each other. He tried hardly to win the race. Instead, you would say he tried hard to win the race, which means he put in a lot of effort to win the race. Had the sentence been he hardly tried to win the race, that would mean that he did not put any effort at all. So notice that the context of the sentence changes entirely. It just flips. So hard and hardly are entirely opposite to each other. Now when you say she has eaten hard anything today, this becomes incorrect. You would say she has eaten hardly anything today, which means she has barely eaten anything today, or she has eaten almost nothing today. Another example is the teacher spoke so quietly I could hardly hear her. Now that means the teacher spoke so quietly that I could not hear her at all. I almost couldn't hear her. Therefore, I could hardly hear her. I tried really hard but did not succeed, which means I tried really hard. I put in a lot of effort but did not succeed. The next sentence is much is used before past participles and adjectives or adverbs of comparative degree. Very is used before the present participles and adjectives of positive degree. Now, very is used with positive and much is used with the comparative degree and past participles. Very is used with the present and positive. Now, the news is very much surprising. Or, sorry, the news is much surprising. Now, this is present participle, so we use very. The news is very surprising. Now, similarly, if you look at the next example, I was very surprised at hearing the news. Now, since it is a past participle, we use I was much surprised at hearing the news. Now, Mary is much tall for her age. Now, notice that tall here is in positive degree. So we say Mary is very tall for her age. Now the last rule is that hardly is an adverb which means rarely or barely, whereas hard is an adjective which means tough or rigid. So it is a hardly job would be incorrect. Instead you say it is a hard job, which means it is a tough job. Some more examples. Hardly had he reached the station when the train left. It means he had barely reached the station when the train left. You won't say hard had he reached the station. It would be incorrect. It will be hard to reach the station on time with all this traffic, which means it will be tough or difficult to reach the station on time with all this traffic. The next sentence is, it hardly rains in Delhi anymore. Or it scarcely or rarely rains in Delhi anymore. Now that's all for today. If you like this course, please rate and review this course. Your feedback is really valuable to us. Also, you can leave your doubts and comments in the comment section below. If the course has helped you in any way, please make a voluntary contribution by clicking on Contribute. Thank you and bye-bye until next time. Hello friends, welcome back to the series on common grammatical errors in English. I'm the presenter Tarun. In today's lesson, we'll discuss some more errors in the usage of adverbs. An adverb is a word which modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb expressing time, manner, degree, or place. So let's begin. Now, ago is always used with the past indefinite tense. So if ago is used in a sentence, that sentence must be in the past indefinite tense. He has come a month ago. Now this is the past perfect tense. We should make it, sorry, this is the present perfect tense. We should make it past indefinite tense. He came a month ago. Similarly, there are other examples. It is ages ago that I saw Mick. Now is the present indefinite tense. What we should make it is, it was ages ago that I saw Mick. Now your wife has phoned a few minutes ago. This is present perfect. Instead you should say your wife phoned a few minutes ago, past indefinite. Now at present means at this moment, and it is used with present tense, whereas presently and shortly are used for future action and generally used with future indefinite. So don't confuse this with the rule we discussed previously. This is more about the tenses with which these adverbs are used. At present is used with the present, and presently or shortly are used with the future indefinite tense. Now presently he is in the room. We don't use this. At present he is in the room. This is present tense, so at present. So at the moment he is in the room. Now I am teaching grade 12 at present. Now once again, you won't use at present here. You would use I am presently teaching grade 12. This is not simple present tense, so you use presently. Now it is generally used with future indefinite. That doesn't mean it cannot be used with present continuous. Now I would not be chasing the oil sector at present. Now also notice the meaning also. I would not be chasing the oil sector at present, which means at the moment. So, in the context of the sentence, at present fits. I just gave you this example to make the meaning more clear. You should be clear with the meaning as well as the usage of these two adverbial forms. So, since here we are using present continuous, at present can be used. It doesn't mean just because it is present continuous, we cannot use at present because the meaning fits here. They will be examined, sorry, this will be examined in more detail presently. Now, here will be examined future indefinite, so definitely we'll use presently, which means this will be examined in more detail shortly. Now, the next rule is early means just after the beginning or of anything, and soon means just after a point of time. So, roses blossomed early this spring means just after the advent of spring, roses blossomed. It was difficult in the beginning, but I soon got used to it. Which means after a point of time, I got used to it. Right? As it is mentioned here, I soon got used to it. You won't say it was difficult in the beginning, but I early got used to it. It doesn't sound right. Now let's take up a few more examples. Soon, this week, I had a strange experience. Now, after some point, you did not have an experience after some point of time. You would say early this week, I had a strange experience. Even if you just read out the sentences, you would get to know which one is correct, which one sounds appropriate, and which one doesn't. He will early have an accident if he continues to drive like this. Now, once again, incorrect. You should say he will soon have an accident if he continues to drive like this. Means at some point he might have an accident if he drives like this. Now, the next rule states that the sentence which starts with seldom, never, hardly, rarely, or scarcely takes an inverse structure. That is verb plus subject structure. That means the verb comes first and then the subject. So seldom I had seen such a beautiful sight, which means rarely have I seen such a beautiful sight. So instead you write seldom had I seen such a beautiful sight. The verb comes first and then the subject. Some more examples. Hardly ever did she go on a holiday. Now notice that the subject is she and it comes after the verb. Hardly ever did she go on a holiday means she has hardly ever been to a holiday. Rarely are things as bad as you think they are going to be. Rarely are and you means things are rarely as bad as you think they are going to be. It is rare that things will be that bad as you think. Scarcely had I got myself comfortable and closed my eyes when I heard the sound of the alarm. Now notice that scarcely, hardly, and rarely are generally used with when. So scarcely had I got myself comfortable and closed my eyes when I heard the sound of the alarm. Which means I barely got myself comfortable and then heard the sound of the alarm and I woke up. Barely had I left home when it started raining. Now notice that barely is also being used with when. Barely or I just left home when it had started raining. Inversion is also used in a sentence which starts with here, there, away, out, up, indoor, or outdoor, and the main verb, or auxiliary plus main verb is used before the subject. See, away Sita went. Now, if we correct this as per this rule, it becomes away went Sita. Now, Sita is the subject and auxiliary plus main verb or just the main verb will come before the subject. Away went Sita. Similarly, we have these examples. Here comes the bus. Now, here is the adverb. So, here comes the bus. Now, up goes the umpire's finger and he's out. You must have heard this in cricket commentary. So, up goes the umpire's finger. Subject. I opened the door and there stood Mohit, all covered in mud. Mohit is the subject here. I looked out and there she was, walking along arm in arm with Nisha. Now that's all for today. If you find this course helpful, please rate and review. And your feedback is really valuable to us. Please leave your doubts and queries below. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And I'll soon be uploading the next installment of this series, which is on conjunctions, prepositions, and pronouns. If you find this course helpful in any way and you want to buy me a coffee, please click on Contribute to make a voluntary contribution. Thank you and bye bye.